Okay, I'm streaming right now, but let me head onto my YouTube channel and just share it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Wait, my channel, the thing's still up, so give me a second. Okay, give me a few more seconds. And we're live. Hello, my hunters. I'm the old hunter, as you should already know. And
Hello, I'm the Knight of Green, historical and video game martial artist and dinosaur content creator.
as well as the animator for the Demon Slice parody. Can't forget that one. I'm actually looking forward to that one most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna probably not do a Kickstarter again. I'm probably just gonna be raising money with a part-time job this summer, then using that to start funding it.
Oh, you sure?
Yeah, I'm fine. I don't think people No, there's some people who want to support it, but it's not. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough support outside of just what I have to do for it.
Fair enough. Sometimes you gotta be. It's a shame because it was really something that I'd like to get into. It looked like a fun little series.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we should also commemorate today. Yesterday, but today was basically Nier Day. For those who don't know, and later watching the series, that was just basically when the cult classic Nier Gestalt was released.
The Replicant.
Yeah, the Replicant game that was released like a decade ago. Interesting, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, the game has been re-released. It's been basically been up to date. Though, graphically, from what I've seen, and people are going to probably hate me for saying this, it doesn't look on par to say the Demon Souls remake.
See, I'm not for sure. That's the thing. Who did the remake? And we can look at their repertoire and what they've done in the past.
Well, I think it was called a studio. I don't know the studio. I could Google it right now, so give me a second.
Because I know Blue Point's considered the master of remakes, so of course they would do Demon Souls really well.
I think it was a series called Toy Logic. I've never heard of it. Oh, apparently they've been worked with BioWare, Respawn Entertainment, Gears. Oh no, wait, sorry, it's just these are a developer. I've never heard of these. Honestly, thinking about it, I think Yoko Taro should have basically gone with how do I put this? He should have basically gone with the A game, if you know what I mean. Like for the Replicant remake, he should have gone for like. He should have gone for like you said, Blue Point Studios.
Yeah.
And again, it was his choice, and then again, I don't know. I haven't played the game, and I don't think I won't be playing it for a while because. I gotta ask, how much was the Demon Souls remake when it came out?
Roughly. So I got the deluxe edition, so it was, I believe, close to like $80-some, but I also got it twice because I wanted it on disc too. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I know I was complaining about the
pre-orders.
Was it the exclusive? Yeah, pre-order bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got suckered into it, so I'll admit I paid for Demon Souls twice. So that's about $140.
Honestly, but looking at the graphics of say the Nier Replicant game, it doesn't graphically. It looks no different from, say, the original in terms of graphical wise. It looks better. It looks much cleaner and less. What's the word I'm looking for? It looks less. Can you help me with the word? I don't know what to use. Like, it looks less muddy.
Polished?
It looks more polished.
Muddy, okay.
It looks more polished.
More polished.
Yeah, it looks more polished than how it first came out so many years ago. Thinking about it,
my question is, it's on the PS4, right?
It was on the PS4 because it was announced before the PS5 was released. But then
so it's not. Demon Souls, was specifically built for PS5.
Yeah, but still, you expect a
remake. If anything has like backwards compatibility.
Yeah, but Nier Automata, the sequel to the original, looks way better than Nier Replicant, the remake.
Right.
That's like saying, that's like if the Demon Souls remake was, like, graphically as good as Dark Souls 3. Don't get me wrong, Dark Souls 3 is a very beautiful looking game. Of course it is. But there's also the issue that, well, how do I put it? It was a lot. It was using the same engine that most of the Souls games was using.
Mm-hmm.
So, what engine was used for the game for Demon Souls?
I believe they're still running on the Havoc engine. I believe because they repurposed the okay. To be quite honest with you, if you play the original Demon Souls, you know how to exploit the AI. The enemies have the same AI behaviors. It's almost comical.
It was like what? How old is Demon Souls now? 20 years, 10 years, 11 years old.
2009. If it's going to turn for the U.S. release, that was like October, November, somewhere around that September, somewhere around in those 3 month period, 2009. So almost 12 years by when it's I'm just gonna say fall of this year is going to be 12 years old.
Jesus. Well, that's an old game. Replicant came out the Gestalt came out a year afterwards, so it was in the 2010s. Same year that Dark Souls came out.
Was Dark Souls 2011, I think?
I keep getting the two confused. Yes, it was 2011 when Dark Souls 1 came out. I keep getting the two confused. I always think Dark Souls came 2010. No, it was 2011. My mistake.
Shoot.
What?
Yeah, I can't tell you. I know Dark Souls 3 came out 2015. I don't remember for the life of me when Dark Souls 2 originally came out.
No, it's that's what you get for an old game, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're gonna expect some things. But still nice to see the Souls series keep going strong after, imitators coming out of the woodwork. Because, once something gets popular, every single company's going to try copying it. Now that's the reason why we have Souls clones. Hang on, which programs do you prefer? Souls clones or Soulsy games? Because I don't know which one the community still goes for.
I think, let me be quite honest, I think was it Souls-like is what the quote-unquote most appropriate term is, but honestly some of them are like for example what was that game with the why am I drawing the blank on it? Because I played it, I did a review on the DLCs of it. Code Vein's a Souls clone. Ashen Souls clone. There's Lords of the Fallen Souls clone.
Though I think Lords of the Fallen is called Clunky Souls in the community, isn't it?
It's
Alex also said it was on Unreal Engine. So yeah, Unreal. Huh.
For
Demon Souls and Blood
I don't think
Dark Souls and Bloodborne. Dark Souls and Bloodborne. I keep because DS you always think is Demon Souls since it came out, but it's DES for Demon Souls and DS for Dark Souls. I guess Elden Ring will be.
I'm actually looking at it because I know what was it. Because Demon Souls was on the original Havoc engine, but apparently they put it on a new engine. I'm actually going to look at that to see.
Actually, that is a good question. What engine did they use for the new game?
Oh, people said how would Demon Souls would have looked on the Unreal Engine. Honestly, I think that would have been an interesting thing.
It would have been interesting, but I think there would have been conflict with code since the game wasn't. I think it was the Havoc engine.
No, I know for the original. I don't know if they still used it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, Dark Souls was never on the original. Was it Unreal Engine?
That's a shame. Then again, From has always been conservative on their content, haven't they? They don't. They like to reuse a lot of old assets, especially for newer games.
Oh my goodness! Yes. Let me tell you something that I had an epiphany of when I was doing Sekiro. I'm going to release this video soon where I did all of the inner bosses flawless, no heals, no prosthetic tools, no weapon art, just literally R1 and L1.
You're a braver man than I am.
It was not fun. And one of the things that I like when you play, because I was playing that for about 2 weeks of just getting the bosses flawlessly to that point. And yeah, no, definitely when you say reusing assets, there are definitely some things that I definitely felt were reused. So, like, for example, Ichimonji double that Ishin uses is the same animation that King Allant does. So I'm just like, what?
Well, then again, the arc was kind of similar, King Allant and Ishin. They're a little bit similar. So
yeah, I'm just sitting here like, oh, what was it? The Armored Warrior borrows some moves from the Penetrator. So
I don't get it why From called one of the bosses the Penetrator.
I'm just gonna say because they're Japan at this point. Because look, I would have preferred because Artorias is called
the Abyss Walker.
They use his name, right? The Penetrator actually has a name. Like, he's called Metas the Lance Knight. Like, they could have just used his real name and his real moniker. You know what I mean? They could have put Metas the Lance Knight. They didn't have to go all the way out to that extent.
I don't know if I'll be demonetized for this, but Jesus, again, such a. Ugh. I don't know why they called him that.
Look, I'm just saying Japanese game, because some of the choices they make, like, what was it? Okay, one thing that definitely made me feel Japanese game, Guinevere, and we all know why.
Funny enough, Miyazaki wasn't particularly happy with her design with the artist. He wasn't. He didn't. No, it's true. Miyazaki didn't like Guinevere's design because it was too. I'm not going to say it, but you can get. If anybody who's played Dark Souls knows why, you can guess why. Hint, hint. But yes, her design was something that Miyazaki didn't like, but he didn't have the heart to tell the artist that. But then again, she is a fertility goddess, isn't she?
Yeah, so,
it's kind of...
Meow. I'm just going to say meow.
So you're going to expect that they're going to be a bit on the larger side on things. It would be odd to have a fertility goddess without that sort of thing.
I feel like that'd be blasphemy.
Oh, blasphemous. I really, 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 really need to play that game.
Oh my goodness, what are they on that one? I've seen some pretty good clips of that.
Oh yes, I've seen. If Alex was here, he'd probably be, and I wish he was here. He'd probably go on a very good discussion on how it's a great Souls-like.
Mm-hmm.
And I take his word for it because it does look like a pretty good Souls-like. I think one YouTuber commenter said that the blasphemous is like if Dark Souls was taken by the Cenobites to listen to Norwegian black metal for all eternity.
Right.
By the way, I'm missing out on it. And by the way, I'm quoting him, so don't think I'm stealing his work. This is not my videos. This is just a podcast, so don't get your panties in the twist that I quoted Benyatsi Croshaw.
Mm-hmm. Shoot. I'm actually pretty upset right now because, so the first Soulsborne game I showed my wife was Bloodborne, and she absolutely adored it, beat it, and got through all the DLCs. The part that makes me mad? She actually beat Marta Logarius her first attempt with no help, and I'm still salty to this day.
Marta Logarius without any help? I have a hard time fighting that big guy.
Yeah, look, I'm mad at her for that. No, I remember Maria, right? When I was watching her fight Maria, right? She died twice to Maria. Not because she was hard, but because she was so mesmerized by her movements. And then when she decided to kill her, she just parried her to death. I was like, "What are you guys good at these games?" But
Lady Maria.
Yeah, no.
A woman after my own heart, figuratively and literally.
Right. But no, I got Hollow Knight and I showed it to her. I'm personally not a big fan of Hollow Knight. Like I'm not really like a 2D platformer, like hard type of thing. And she's sitting here, you're almost done with the game, and she's like, "You need to do this type of tech." I'm like, because she was showing me some of like the jump areas, like more like those where you had to like hit the things and like bounce off and fly and dash. And I'm sitting here like, "What are you talking about?" And she wants me to play Hollow Knight, and I'm sitting here like, "You're good at these types of games." Like, and then I showed her Demon Souls remake, and she's blazing through that. I'm like, "Oh my goodness!"
I guess your wife is a natural Soulsborne's player, my friend.
She's not even. She never really played. Like, I think the thing is, she played like Crash Bandicoot, some of those other like hardcore like games. So I'm not sure if like those skills. Like, I don't know too much about them.
I don't think.
It's like those old platform.
Hey, speaking of things, speaking of a reason why Venus couldn't come on, such a shame. Like, is it me, Trooper, or is movie-based games of video games supposed to be becoming more popular these days?
Sonic, Mortal Kombat. What was another one that was recent?
Can't remember.
I was going to say Godzilla, but Godzilla was a franchise before it was a game.
Oh, that's true. It had several video games, but sadly, I played one of them, actually. They've never been good.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I think there's always a problem. Uncharted! That was the one!
Uncharted has a movie?
It's coming out soon. Oh,
no, I don't want to watch it.
Yes, and I saw the picture of the guy who's doing Nathan Drake. The guy actually looks like a cosplayer.
Of Nathan Drake.
Yep. There's also there's also the rumored Demon Souls movie coming out by Sony Pictures.
I don't know how I feel about that. I don't.
Oh, The Last of Us is also getting a movie adaptation? Wait, what?
I don't know how I feel about that. Especially after The Last of Us 2 is left a lot of people sore from what I've seen.
No worries, they're remaking it again.
What do you mean they're remaking The Last of Us 2?
They're making The Last of Us, the entire series. They're remaking it from the top.
Wait, hold on. Why would you remake it? Okay, I'm not trying to be mean or anything. Like, I'm just being quite honest with you. Personally, I'm not a person who sees that we would need to remake PS4 games. Like, maybe upscale graphically, but like remaking them, really?
Technically, The Last of Us was on the PS3, and The Last of Us 2 was on the PS4. I'm just trying to say that they're remaking The Last of Us series, so the series is getting rebooted.
Oh, but didn't The Last of Us get moved to PS4 though?
Yeah, it had a PS4 remastered, but that was a remaster.
So they're getting another remastered.
No, a remake. They're redoing the series.
Like, as it's starting over again?
Yep.
I'm going to have to see how that is.
It's kind of baffling that they're doing it when the franchise is barely even 10 years old. But even still, wasn't this... What, is it because The Last of Us 2 left so much sour taste milk in everybody's mouth that they had to hit the remake button so quickly?
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, I don't know if you know anything about Attack on Titan.
Oh, yes, that's getting a Hollywood adaptation soon. So is Akira...
Oh, I don't want that.
Oh, Akira's getting its remake soon. Is getting a movie, a live action. There's also the issue that, my God, there are so many... It's like... Okay, anime is becoming mainstream and games are mainstream. So let's make movies out of them because it sells dosh. But there's always the fact that they always put the money before the story. So, yeah. There's this issue with video games, and I really wish people would just see it, is that you cannot translate a video game experience that would be several hours into something that'll be a 1 to 2 hour movie. You're going to miss plot elements, side characters, everything that's important. Take, for example, like...
Go
on.
Yeah, no, that's definitely your sentiment with that part, with Demon Souls. Because, think about it. If you make a movie about Demon Souls, right? you literally gonna make a story about this one dude going through a few demons and then winning, right? Yeah. Like the fact that you're making a dude, right? You're gonna be ostracizing everyone who played in their own way, right?
Yep.
It says you have to have a definite character, definite characteristics, definite play style, and then by virtue of Demon Souls, right? People play that game in all sorts of multitudes of different ways. So you're gonna be like, we're gonna have to be a knight dude, and then it's like, well, what about people who played sorcerers, people who played hunters, people who played Temple Knight, like.
And also, I guarantee you they're going to use the Fluted Knight set because that's the iconic armor for the series, isn't it?
Yeah, even though, to be quite honest with you, after like the first area, most people put on like Old King Doran or like the Binded set.
I liked it. Let me think. Oh, if you didn't hear, there have been rumors of an Elder Scrolls Netflix series.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Oh, by the way, Alex said, I'd rather see Dark Souls remake than The Last of Us, but with the complete bit of chaos. Honestly, I wouldn't mind shutting off the horrible... I'm sad to admit it, I bought the Dark Souls remastered because I bought the Dark Souls on my PS4, because...
Bro.
I'm guilty.
What if they upscaled Dark Souls to the Demon Souls remake quality? Now that would be a game.
Yeah, but I preferred if they... I'd like them to fix them. I think the Tomb of the Giants could use a remake, as well as the blimmin', the underworld for demons.
Lost
Izalith be fixed because it was a horrible, higgledy-biggly mess of an area.
Oh, I think Sin's Fortress was fine. What was it called? Seath's domain, his castle, his library, whatever that is.
The Grand Library.
Yeah, I think that was relatively fine. I know him too much. Maybe the invisible crystals could be done a little bit differently.
Yes, because the number of times I fell off of them, like, oh god. Like, seriously, I think there was some great things about Dark Souls. It was a flawed masterpiece, like most masterpieces are. Like, honestly, Dark Souls, it was a great game. It pushed new boundaries. In a time when games were being more cinematic and less challenging, Dark Souls just basically came up and saying, we're a game, and and you're going to play us.
See, this is the thing, though, about Dark Souls. See, it's not that I don't love Dark Souls, but because I was spoiled with Demon Souls, I saw Dark Souls as kind of like taking a little bit too much from it. Like, for example, like a lot of like the Black Knight animations is taken from the Blue-Eyed Knights from Demon Souls. The Hollows taken from for me personally, I think I would have enjoyed Dark Souls more if I had played that first, but because I was spoiled by Demon Souls, Dark Souls just felt like what's the word? It felt too much like it reused. Yeah, too much like a clone.
But it did have its own elements. It did have its own unique elements.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it doesn't, but like from the onset of Dark Souls, where the enemies have pretty much the same animations as enemies from Demon Souls, like it left. I would say it started like. But then again, when you have things like Artorias and Manus, those are
fantastic bosses for the time, and it actually started the whole idea of second phases, if you know what I mean. Oh, it's okay. I have both remakes on PS4 and Switch, but Switch Remaster is definitely better. It's so close to the original. True. But like I said, I think we could say that I think early on, like with Ornstein Smo, and as well as the DLCs, kind of started a trend of where bosses have second phases, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I would argue it was even back in Demon Souls with the Flame Lurker, because when you get the Flame Lurker at half health below, he starts burning brighter and starts getting more frantic. True. I would argue that was the first instance, but it wasn't like more, what was it, like too obvious? Like I know definitely when it comes like Ornstein Small, that's an obvious second stage, right?
Yeah, well, it depends on who you defeat. Gale, let's face it, Gale is if I made a top 10 list of my favorite Dark Souls bosses, Gale would be my number one. Oh, I spoiled my list already.
Gale is, I can't, like, out of all the bosses of, like, Soulsborne games, I would put Ishin, Gale, Gurman. There's, not many others I would put, like, up there, like, in the top 5, because I know definitely Gale is, I don't even think, like, I think about Gale, right? Mm-hmm. Gale is like, he's supposed to be like a representation of like your type of character, right? He's literally a nobody going through the world, but not only is he a nobody, but he's been a nobody since the beginning of time, right? Mm-hmm. He's been downtrodden by the gods, other people, for I don't know how long the cycle's been going on, and all he just wants is to create a peaceful world for the painter girl. and he goes to the ends of the earth. Like, imagine this dude, one of the first entities in the entire universe, survives to the end just to fulfill his task, and you fight him and have the most epic climactic battle, except nobody's alive to witness it because everybody's dead and long gone. Like, that's just so poetic. There's so much in that.
It's poetic.
Yeah.
It's also kind of poetic from the painter about how she basically paints a new world. It's kind of like an allegory of how, well, the Dark Souls franchise ended with Dark Souls 3 for now.
Uh-huh.
That the painter, who could be representation of From Software, will paint a new world. And what will carry over would be us, the players. Because because even as this world is done, we will continue on in another world. So,
Elden Ring.
Well, before Elden Ring was Sekiro, but yes, Elden Ring.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Sekiro has its pros and cons to me. Like, when people say, like, I'm not gonna say Sekiro's a bad game. I do love it, but it is definitely not a Souls game.
It has Souls-like elements, but I could agree
that it has elements.
But it's not a proper Souls game because the emphasis is more on swordplay and pairing. But it's still, it's like a semi-hybrid. It's on the same trunk, but on a different branch in the Souls family tree.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, and Elden Ring could be the next game that basically just it continues the Dark Souls branch. It just is like a continuation of said series. If the rumors,
yeah, but I don't know because, like, looking at some of the quote unquote Elden Ring leaks, they have some of the features that seem to be coming from Sekiro, like free jumping and stuff. And
maybe it'll be more of a hybridize. Maybe it'll take some elements like better jumping from Sekiro combined with the Dark Souls' combat system.
Oh, I wouldn't mind. I'll take it. But yeah, I definitely know. If it's an open world, imagine how invasions are going to work. Like, I think we talked about this last time.
Oh, we did.
Like, invasions probably would have to be like
in certain areas. Otherwise,
yeah, like caves and dungeons. Because what if imagine invading a world and you have the whole world, someone's like hiding in a tree somewhere.
You could somewhat mitigate it if the spawn is near where the person is, but that also makes it annoying because I'm trudging through the world and then nearby is a guy, I die, and then I'm restarted for how far I had to go back. And then
whatever, like the last villages or something.
Yes, and then it's interesting from taking the idea of an open world because, well, yes, a lot of the games are semi-open world, but they're not complete overworld. And before any of you guys are going to watch up to this point and think, oh, it's going to be like Skyrim, is it going to be like any other open world game? No, it's been confirmed that Miyazaki will not have the same elements of, say, Skyrim or Oblivion or any other Western RPG open world. It'll be, or even other Japanese open world games. It'll be more on the lines of a desolate open world. So think of something I think maybe Fallout, if I was going to be generous.
Fallout, yeah.
Maybe Fallout. Think Fallout, except more fantasy post-apocalyptic instead of sci-fi post-apocalyptic.
I'm just going to wonder if Miyazaki's going to troll us and introduce like less than like 0.05% chance of encountering like wild bosses or something in the open world that drop like the best upgrades or something.
If we've seen Miyazaki, he's going to throw something as a curveball.
Oh, that's always him.
I know. Maybe the other cruel joke is that Elden Ring is actually Dark Souls in disguise. That the painter's new world is the Elden Ring world.
Watch that be like a discovery, like a secret boss. You find that the painter girl or something, she's mutated, and be like, "I made this world." Be like, "Oh snap!"
Or maybe we could have a boss like From loves their throwbacks to the older Souls games, don't they?
Yep.
So like,
shoot, even Sekiro couldn't resist having a night boss.
That's true. Out of place as that was, but maybe we'll have a game. Maybe if Gale is just a clone of Artorias. Maybe we'll have
who's the clone of the Penetrator.
Who's the clone of the Penetrator. Maybe we'll have a boss that is a clone of Gale.
I wouldn't even be too mad about that.
Honestly, I wouldn't too. I loved Gale's fight. I also like Nameless. He's one of my favorite boss fights.
Oh, Nameless King's not bad either.
Though I remember the horror stories from other Souls fans saying, "Oh, he's so difficult." I like to think that his dragon part is the most difficult part. The dragon part is the easiest part. It's just fighting the king on one that's the most difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Nameless King. I definitely agree. I like the Nameless King. Personally, though, like if I were like to rank and put like the Nameless King, I think the thing that holds me back of the Nameless King is I personally feel like the whole Archdragon Peak area need to be fleshed out more lore wise. I felt like it was kind of just like, oh, you walk in, big scary Drake, fall plunge, and then like a few steps later, Nameless King.
Funny enough, there was actually content with the Drake about how you were supposed to collect its soul to gain 2 weapons, but I think someone in the design team remember dragons don't have souls. So
I was about to say, even though Midir has one,
well, you could argue that because he's eaten the dark,
and then that like coalesced into the abyss.
Yeah, so maybe the soul, maybe the abyss correlated. What's the word I'm looking for? It basically
coalesced.
Oh, so Miyazaki with the final boss of and Yuka Kamoto will be the second final boss of Elden Ring. That could be true. And again, Automa did something a bit cheeky in its DLC, but I will get onto what I was going to finish say. What was I going to say anyway?
About Midir, how his soul is like a...
Now, this is just my own personal theory, who's not like those big YouTubers like Vati Vidya or Soul Lore Hunter. If you're watching this, shout out to you. Oh, can someone actually, if anybody's watching this, can someone clip this and send it to him? But yes, I'm not like those, or Smoketown, can't forget the guy. Shout outs to them. But anyway, my point is that it's possible that when Midir ate the abyss he was tasked to do, it was possible that he gained a soul for it. Sorry.
That could make sense.
The soul of it. So it's possible. It's a possibility.
And we're not counting Sin, the slumbering dragon, in this discussion either, because
I would like
that's because Dark Souls 2.
Yes, I'd like to. As much as Miyazaki says Dark Souls 2 is canon, I'm the sort of person. Yes, I was going to say Nier Automa's DLC did that, but I was going to say that just before this one. I just like to think Dark Souls 2 takes place. It's its own little realm, separate from the main Souls series. It just
to be fair. Yeah, the character tosses himself into a typhoon and lands in the Dark Souls 2 world. So, I mean, might as well have been.
I might as well just... Look, listen, I know people say they like Dark Souls 2, but I'm in the camp that Dark Souls 2 is one of... No, if it was like a... Okay, I want to emphasize this. I don't like the fact that I hate Dark Souls 2 because it was another Souls name, I wanted to like it. But the fact comparison to say its predecessor and its successor, Dark Souls 2 is just one of the worst Souls games. If it was named something like I don't know, give me a random generic dead game, like I don't know, Land of the Dead or something. Generic, I know, but if it was given that title, it would be a below average game. But because it's part of the Dark Souls franchise, it has so much to live for.
It's standing amongst giants.
As much as people say, oh, Dark Souls 3 is verse, I'd like to say Dark Souls 3 is mechanically one of the best Souls games I've played.
Yeah, the only thing is I feel it's a little bit too copy-pasta at times. But...
Yes, it's a bit too copy-pasta of how it just throws back to every single previous Souls game, Bloodborne and Soulsborne games, ever made.
But, hey guys, did you like Maria? Did you like Artorias? Did you like Bloodborne? We threw them all together into the Abyss Watchers. Enjoy.
Well, you could say Fried is like Maria 2.0.
Yes.
I think speed and mechanically wise, because hell, she's fast. She's faster than most bosses in Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 3.
Right.
Come on, she's Bloodborne speeds. If the Hunter was fighting her, it would be a pretty good fight, but because it's the Ashen one, oh, good luck.
Right.
I was also going to add that... how do I put this? I was also going to add that Nier Automata, one of the DLCs, you basically fight the head of Platinum Games and Square Enix, I believe. It was like a tongue-in-cheek reference.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what has to do with the entire Nier verse, but apparently the two heads of the companies were basically turned into androids and you had to fight them. Maybe Miyazaki will do that in the DLC.
Maybe Miyazaki and the director of Dark Souls 2 have like a two-faced boss fight or something.
I get it. The first half of the boss is horrible because, Dark Souls 2 is horrible. And then in the second phase, it becomes a fantastic boss. Because Miyazaki is basically... Can we just say Miyazaki's a great director? One of, if
can't say that enough, honestly.
Neither can I, and I wanted to just confirm that. Honestly, people bring up like Kojima or even Yoko Taro, now considering his famously for his entire Nier series. But I think people forget that Miyazaki had some interesting roots. That we all know that he wasn't originally a video game developer by any stretch of the imagination. He was just a simple office clerk, played Aiko, and then became infatuated with video games. Heck, he quit his job when in Japan. Very few people ever do that. It's like considered a social taboo. Like, you quit your job and you go for another one, you are not loyal to the company, that so forth, etc.
Right.
But hey, heck, if it wasn't thanks to that little thing about Demon Souls, that Demon Souls, he worked on like the Armored Core series for a while before taking Demon Souls. But hey, the fact that he took the risk, and yeah, people hated it. Heck, the former director of the PlayStation, Ken Kutaragi, hated Demon Souls. I think I brought this up several times in the past podcasts. That Ken Kutaragi hated Demon Souls, says it was a horrible game. Then, when Demon Souls was announced, he was... Exactly, Alexander. Miyazaki brought love for the gaming again for you and from such. I think we could speak for that. He did it for all of us. But the thing is, thank you. I was also going to add that if Ken Kutaragi hated Demon Souls because he said it was too difficult, it didn't have much fanfare when it was announced at the E3 at the time. Heck, people just, if I remember reported, most people didn't even get past the character creation screen.
That's sad.
And those who did play it just didn't hate it because the mechanics were so differently. Because, in traditional games, squares attack and triangles also attack, that sort of thing. And while Dark Souls and Demon Souls, R1 is attack, R2, L1's block, and L2's parry.
Yep.
Unconventional, but, but after. We have to think that the whole marketing thing wasn't that it was given over... Let's also remember that Demon Souls was supposed to be a game to rival Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, before Demon Souls, they were planning on remaking one of their the old Kingsfield series.
I want to see that, though.
I would Miyazaki. Maybe Miyazaki should I know Kingsfield, if you put it up today, it's going to be clunky, it's going to be meh in terms of design. But come on, I'm sure some modern day Souls fans would like to play the granddaddy of the Souls series, if you can call Kingsfield that.
Shoot, if they were to take Kingsfield and modernize it, I definitely would want to see, because the Moonlight Greatsword came from those games, so seeing that be brought to life. Heck,
Seath the Scalers was originally in Kingsfield.
In Kingsfield, yep. So there's just a lot of stuff they could do with that.
And I think there's also a lot of references that older fans would actually enjoy. The
Snake Men.
The Snake Men, the Mushroom People.
Yeah.
We're not talking about your property, Nintendo, so don't claim my video, please. I like my channel very much.
Oh, and you just need to talk about Smash Brothers or something and show footage, and then they'll come for you.
Oh yes, please don't take away my channel, Nintendo. But yes, going back to my point, it was a shame that Demon Souls it's a good thing that Demon Souls got popular through word of mouth, honestly.
Commercials and stuff.
There were no commercials. People were saying, hey, did you hear about this super hard game? No. Yeah, this game will beat you down, and it'll kick you in the ass because you can't beat it. And then when Westerners heard about this, they imported the game.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny because Sony didn't want to basically do the... Oh, Seath was originally from Armored Core and Patches too. I just went... Oh. Whoopsie.
Patches was.
Patches was.
Yeah.
He was a cowardly pilot, I think. But back to my point. I think it was the idea that Sony didn't want to publish the game because they didn't think it was fair. So I think it was Atlas got the European branch, while Bandai Namco got the American branch, I think.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, that's why there has been so much difficulty for a Demon Souls remake outside of Japan. Yes, in Japan, Sony could have done it, but because the publishing rights were from two different studios, yeah.
And then what did Bandai Namco do with it? They ran with it with the Dark Souls series.
Funny, and if it's funny if you think about it. If Demon Souls was successful, because honestly, they realized it was a success after realizing, it didn't sell as much as its modern predecessors, but it was a respectable for the time. Especially for especially for a new company like From Software, which, by the way, before now was not even a AAA pup developer. Now it is. But the fact is that if Sony held on to their teeth and just tried to getting From, we would be saying that the Dark Souls franchise would be PS3 exclusives, not PS4, not multi-platform.
Yeah, you're almost saying they'd be strictly PlayStation, but that's the thing though. They try to rectify that with Bloodborne. They're like once they grinned and bared it. What did they produce out of that?
One of the best games for the PS4, and I will still say better than God of War. And fight me on that.
Yeah, I personally would agree. I played God of War. I platinum both God of War and
Bloodborne.
See, there's the thing. Bloodborne and God of War, they go for different things. Like, for example, God of War, I actually would argue it's more of like a story. Like, even though it's violence,
story driven.
I feel like God of War is more of a story. Like, I know like with God of War 3, 2, 1, and the other ones, it's always about like how can Kratos brutally murder something. And the new God of War games has that elements, but it feels very
worn out
almost. So yeah, you're not even fazed by it. So you're more focused on the story now.
But still, it's like, that's true. But honestly, I think I've grown so much too accustomed to Souls games that I feel like the story should be at the background,
not in the foreground.
Yeah.
And also considering the fact that God of War plays like a Souls game.
I actually made a joke one of God of Souls.
To be fair with the God of War, it's not a bad. If you want to say God of War is a Souls, it's not a bad attempt. Like, to be quite honest,
I think it's better than Ubisoft's attempt.
It's better than Ubisoft's attempts. Yeah, I know some people don't like it because some people prefer the hack and slash nature of the original God of War, and I can agree somewhat because like God of War moving to a Souls-like combat is definitely like a jarring experience for people who are not familiar with Souls. But people say, "Oh, look at playing Kratos like it's Dark Souls."
Hey, that's true, but hey, it works. God of War became one of the best-selling games on the PS4. It still kind of upsets me a little bit. But then again, I have to remember that the Soulsborne series is always a bit of a niche series. It's popular, don't get me wrong, but it's still a niche series. Like, I don't expect someone to just like who plays like God of War or something to
jump into that.
Who's Cory Barlog?
I don't know who that is.
I'm going to Google that up very quickly.
But to be fair though, God of War, if you ever play God of War on the hardest difficulties blow Souls games out the water in terms of like how difficult they are.
How cheap the enemies are?
Yeah, it's like, oh, look at the basic enemy gets one shot. Oh, okay. It's like
Santa Monica Studio. Oh, it's the guy who worked on the God of War series. God of War 2, and God of War 3.
Mm-hmm.
So, actually, no, he didn't work on God of War 3. He just worked on 1, 2, and the remake, which should have been called God of War 4.
Talking about the new God of War game, the God of War PS4 should have been called God of War 4.
Yes, I said that.
Let me think, because there's God of War 1, 2, 3, PS4. There's Ascension. There's
so many God of War games. It's not even worth listing them out half of the time. Because
there's a PSP one.
I think there was God of War Chains of something. I don't know.
Chains of Olympus.
That one. I don't know why that. Maybe because Master Chief was the mascot of the Xbox, so maybe they wanted to have their own mature mascot for the PS3. I think for themselves. You know what I mean? So hey, Master Chief
rival that macho-ness or something.
Yes, but personally, I always found Master Chief whose personality is good as a cinder block. And I know,
you don't play as Master Chief for his personality. You play as it because he shoots aliens.
I know, but if I'm going to be honestly and I'm going to put the fatality in the room, I always think that Doom was always a better shooter than Halo.
What was?
Doom was better than Halo.
Doom?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! I know some people are gonna be upset about that, but are you talking about like the remake of Dooms or the original Doom games?
The remake. I think compare. You could argue, well, those were 2010 games compared to a 2016 games, but I'm talking about pure mechanics here. The gameplay was faster. I hated the fact that you could actually blame Call of Halo for having this silly thing of regenerating health as well as the 2-limit weapon slot. So, yes, it was more realistic, but I'm not here to play a game for realistic. I'm here to take out my shotgun and blow the demon's head off. Not to blame it, have some realistic. So I kind of blame Halo for this whole modernization of Space Marines and two limits. Space Marines and giant armor and... okay, you could say that the Doom guy isn't, but at least, hey, he doesn't look ridiculous in that armor half of the time. I think compared to, say, Master Chief's armor, his armor looks far more slimming, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just my take. I know some Halo fans are going to crucify me for saying this and saying, well, just a filthy I'm a Sony fanboy. No, I'm not. I do criticize Sony a lot. Remember, like when they basically were about to shut down the PS3 and PS Vita.
Oh, that was scummy. We all know that was scummy.
We were scummy, but thankfully they took a massive 180-degree U-turn and they are keeping it open. Good news for us, right, guys?
That's only happened because enough people complained about it, which is the sad thing about it. The company will do something like that if there's not enough outcry against it, if that makes any sense.
Well, I still like my Vita, by the way. It's a shame that Sony just killed that little console. People still play games on the Vita. If they basically put more effort into, why don't they just try again and try promoting the little console? Give it an update where it's compatible with PS5. I'm sure plenty of people will be happy to have PS5 on the PS Vita.
See, they're probably going to think about that if the PS5 actually gets to people. You know what I mean?
It should have. I honestly think that the I still curse Sony for almost killing that little console. I do play a lot of indie games. I was able to finally play Castlevania Symphony of the Night on the game. I played some pretty good classics like Day of the Tentacle. It's not what you think. I played games
Day of the Tentacle. Hold up. Hold up. Wait a minute. Hold up. What?
There's a game by, LucasArts? They create...
Star Wars people?
No, not LucasArts games. The creators of, say, okay, before they were there was a guy named Tim Schafer, I think. He worked on he's made several games, like, do you know Grim Fandango? That old classic point-and-clicker game? Same guy who's made the Day of the Tentacles. I actually played Grim Fandango on my PS Vita. Bit glitchy and buggy, but it was still a good game. Good writing, great comedy. The puzzles were a little bit intuitive. Heck, you had one puzzle I remember from Day of the Tentacle. I know it's a weird title. Basically, you had to dress up a mummy to win a beauty contest. And it sounds as ridiculous as it is.
That's very ridiculous, yes.
It was a head scratch on how I was supposed to get through it, but I swear some of the puzzles was like developer inside knowledge. Like this is only something the developer thought was clever, but it was really just something they just pulled out of their flagpole.
Yep.
Heck, I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna. I think what clinched it for me, what made me continue, was the writing and the story. It was funny. It was well written. I'm not the biggest fan of point-and-click adventure games because they're always more puzzle based. Don't get me wrong. I like a good puzzle game. Sorry. I like
was
a
that
good
Legend of Zelda point-and-click game? I know. Wasn't there a Legend of Zelda point-and-click game that everyone memed to death?
I don't know. I have never played the Legend of Zelda games, and that fact always shocks people.
You have a Switch, right?
I don't have a Switch.
Oh, you don't have a Switch. Oof.
I'm not exactly rich enough to afford it. I might try to get a Switch for my birthday if I can afford it.
Because I don't think Switches are as expensive as PS5s at this time. Because Switch has been out for a while.
I know. So maybe I will try to get a Switch for my birthday because who knows? Maybe I'll enjoy it. And
Dark Souls is on the Switch.
I bought Dark Souls twice now. I'm not gonna try it a third time.
Yeah.
As much as I like the idea of taking Dark Souls on the go, it's not worth it. I might try Legend.
Shoot.
I might try The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild because I know people have been banging on about how great the game is. I might even try Super Mario World Odyssey and finally play a Mario game. Yes, I've never
Odyssey is an amazing experience.
I'd imagine it is.
Though, to be fair, though, one thing that I do, like,
Mm-hmm.
if you're talking about playing games, one thing that I do is you can do remote play using your phone. So if like you're somewhere with Wi-Fi, you could just play your PlayStation 5.
I know, but I hate the. Why would I? I hate. Then I have to lug a controller around because I'm not going to be playing with those damn buttons. I like.
Look,
when I play a game, I like some feedback.
I beat the Inner Ishi boss with an iPhone controller.
I'm not mad enough to do that.
You can do it. It wasn't fun, but you can do it.
No, I am not. Goodness. I am not gonna do that. Maybe on my Switch, on my Vita, yes, but not on my blimmin' not on my blimmin' phone.
Bruh, it's the PS. See, what I can say the remote play is useful for, like if you're playing like strategy game, like I know what was it, like Fire Emblem's not on Sony consoles, but like a game that's like strategy based, where like you could like turn based. I could see that being like more accessible because you have to like it's not intrinsically tied to like reactions and stuff, but yes, you know what I mean.
I get what you mean. But actually, I thought of one interesting little thing a while back, since when Fire Emblem was still the hot topic. I scratched that. It's still the hot topic if you look on Twitter. I was thinking, what if Nintendo decided to do a Fire Emblem Souls-like?
Final Fantasy Remake, I don't know, has some interesting elements.
Which one? Because there are like a dozen remakes. Are you talking about 7?
7, yeah.
I really have an issue with. I really don't know why I dislike Final Fantasy's new modern combat system. Maybe the idea of having turn-based and real-time combat just don't mesh well.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it can be done well, but I feel like you have to be a lot of thought put into it.
A lot of thought it would seem that how do I put it? A lot of thought that Square hasn't thought of, which actually brings up to my other points. You know how Square's just remakes its old classics and just chases trends a lot of the time. Not talking about Avengers. I mean,
what was that Avengers game that Square Enix made? What was that garbage?
Yes.
Hot garbage.
I'm surprised they haven't decided to tackle a Souls-like. You'd think they'd go after that.
I don't know if they think it's going to be profitable for them because the Souls community will trash it if it's bad.
True, and the fact is that I think also the idea of having microtransactions in it might also put it off. A Souls-like with microtransactions, that would be a nightmare beyond the hunter's nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't
imagine playing Bloodborne and like, oh, do you want to use the burial blade? You got to pay $5.99 to get it at the start of the game.
Well, be thankful it wasn't part of a DLC. Paid DLC, if you don't. Oh, wait a minute. It wasn't part of a bundle pack.
Right? I was about to say, the Holy Moonlight Sword, the iconic weapon of the FromSoft series, was a DLC paid DLC.
Well, it was kind of worth it. Heck, if you buy the Game of the Year, it's in the game standard.
But to be fair, Old Hunters DLC is one of the best DLC content you get for how much it was, like $15. What in the world? Like, I don't think I've ever spent $15 on anything that I enjoyed more than the Old Hunters DLC.
I think most people love the Old Hunters DLC because it actually put a lot of effort and it was pretty good. Sure, it used a lot of really old assets, but hey, it had a lot of iconic bosses and iconic scenes. Heck,
expanded the weapon roster, expanded the story. I mean, what else do you want? The areas are cool. I mean, I guess you could say like Lawrence is literally just on fire cleric beast that breaks in half.
But he's also a pain in the ass to fight, and I do my best to avoid him.
Yeah, really, you don't have to beat Lawrence. You only have to do him if you want the claw mark. Was it ruined? So you can do the beast claw, which is that's the thing. The beast claw moveset when you first get it, meh. when you get that claw mark or whatever it's called, I forgot what it's called, but like the beast ruin, and then turns to like absolute shredder.
Yep. And that wasn't a DLC. But then again, I think, top 10 DLCs. Like, that's a good one. Unlocked Praise the Sunny, but for $5.99.
Bruh, who said that? Who just said that?
Alex did. Not mine.
Praise the Sun for $5. I would be so mad. Let me think. If they were to make if we were to take the Souls game and turn it into like a AAA
gotcha
booster
game
pack thing, like let me think. Let's just take Bloodborne. Okay, they would definitely remove the Burial Blade, the Rakuyo, the Shikaji. What other weapons do you think they would remove?
The Saw Cleaver.
But no, I mean, would they? Because that's on the title of the game, though.
They would do that.
They would remove the saw cleave. Yeah, I could see them removing weapons. I would imagine they would make a Breedis. Was it the Upper Cathedral? That would be like a on this DLC. You have to pay like extra money to get to the Upper Cathedral. Well, other places would be DLC. What was it? The Nightmare Frontier would be a DLC area.
And yes, if you want to play online and invade other players, that'll be $1 each time.
Bro, each time you have to pay in-game currency to invade people, and that regenerates like once every you have to spend 100 in-game currency points to invade a player, and they regenerate once every week or day or something like that. But you can spend money to get points if you want to invade people a lot of times.
Let's kind of cut it here before we give them ideas. Ooh.
Or was it best blood gems for your weapon?
Oh, how about this one? Pay $5.99, you get Lady Maria's outfit.
Oh my goodness, bruh.
I swear.
All the boss armor sets. It's
Well, let's be thankful that the Penetrator wasn't on Disney. You didn't have to pay $5.99 for his blimmin' armor. You gotta jump through hoops. Hey.
You have to jump through so much in-game hoops though to get his armor though. That.
I wonder if I could. You wonder if I could get the Penetrator's armor, and I hate the name. His name is Penetrator. Ugh.
Well, they could have just used his real name, Metas, Knight of the Lance. Not,
That actually sounds way cooler. It does.
I mean that.
Seriously, if my name was the Penetrator, I wouldn't be the most feared knight in all of 9 realms. I'd be the laughing stock of all knights. Oh, look, there goes the Penetrator. I hope he doesn't penetrate anyone tonight.
See, I mean, I feel like it's a play on Lancelot, because the Penetrator is supposed to be like a tongue-in-cheek joke about because all of the Bolletary Knights are tongue-in-cheek to the Round Table Knights of Arthur. So Penetrator's Lancelot, but
don't give me fate. Don't give me fate flashbacks.
Oh my goodness.
Oh God, let's hope Fate and Dark Souls never, and From and Fate never. What was the producer? What was the studio that does the Fate series? Moon something?
It escapes my mind right now.
Well, let's just hope the two don't decide to do a crossover.
Look, Miyazaki already went to the Game of Thrones guy and said, "Hey, you want to do something?" So Miyazaki is getting kind of bold.
The thing is that slashy souls, but the thing is that I don't think he's going to integrate his integrity by putting his own characters in a blimmin' gacha game. I hate gacha games as it is. I don't want my favorite series blasphemed by that series.
Oh, God, Slashy Soul's already a gacha game, but I don't think that's was it from anything to do with Slashy Souls?
No, it was just Bandai just capitalizing on the whole Souls craze.
Slashy Souls is garbage, and we all know it.
We all know it, and we've all played it, and it's all horrible.
I don't know what we were thinking. I don't know
what they were thinking. To quote the famous AVGM, what were they thinking? There we go. There goes my second quote on this stream.
That makes me upset. Slasher Souls makes me upset. I haven't played that in years. I'm still upset.
Yeah. Again, what else? Since we've got the whole crossover between George R.R. Martin and Miyazaki, who else is he gonna? I always have this brilliant dream team idea of Miyazaki and Yoko Taro teaming up, but then I always come back to reality, thinking Miyazaki does subtlety and world building. Yoko Taro does world building, but is just basically 100% nuts. But then again, if I must be defending, Miyazaki really did come up with a lot of crazy things for Bloodborne, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Which kind of makes me wonder what goes through Miyazaki's mind half of the day playing Bloodborne. Now you think about it.
He's a mad lad. I'm just gonna say that. I mean, remember. Do you remember when he talked about like the summon system on like what inspired him to make the summon system of the Souls game?
Yes.
But like cars pushing each other up a hill during like a snowy day. I'm like, dude, how'd you translate that into what we got?
I think the idea was that he didn't know the person, he didn't know the guy.
No, I know the premise behind it, but still, the idea of translating that to a game though. Like,
hey, we get inspirations from even the craziest ideas.
Right? But no, for me personally, if I look, and this is me being biased, but if I had a choice, if Miyazaki could somehow collaborate with like the Token people and make like a in-universe like Lord of the Rings type of thing, like imagine like a Lord of the Rings like with Dark Souls type of combat, and like some sort of like I don't know, like because in the Lord of the Rings series there's like different ages, so imagine like doing like the first age.
Yeah.
But with a Souls game like thing. So we got all the demons, monsters, dragons, and stuff, orcs and whatnot. Like, I don't know. I would enjoy that.
That's if they can collaborate on something, because I highly doubt that they're going to collaborate on something such as a game like that. Remember,
yeah,
I think like remember the Shadow of War series.
Yeah. Outside of the microtransactions, before they were okay. I played the Shadow of War and War games after they removed all the transactions, so I didn't really see all the negativity, but I've heard it was pretty, like, bad. But those are pretty solid games.
Yeah, they're pretty good solid games. But yeah, I could... And also the fact that Activision patented the Nemesis system. Let's not forget that.
How do you patent a mechanic in a game?
Remember that Sega... I think it was a company that patented the mini-games during loading screens.
Really? You can do that?
Yep. And there was also the time Sega... You know the Crazy Taxi series?
Yeah.
You know that big light, that big arrow that points at where you need to go?
Yeah.
They patented that too.
The idea of having an arrow point to where you need to go?
Yep.
So that's why every single game has to have the most arbitrary way of guiding you in the right direction. Yep. Like Ghost of Tsushima has like literal wind just blowing in their direction.
But it did do some good. The fact that arrow system was horrible and the better mini-map with the lines telling you where to go was a far better system.
Yes.
So, did some good things. But again, I hate the idea of patents. Yeah, fine, you want to make money. But what's the point? The Nemesis...
Usually people are not even going to engage in it. See, when you make a patent on something like that, people are going to make something else that doesn't violate it, so you don't get money from it. And they'll just have to be creative.
So I wonder how the Nemesis system's going to... I like the Nemesis system. It was clever. It was fun. It was kind of interesting when an orc kills you and you got to just seek out revenge. But either you could... I like the idea that you can torture the orc to lower his level as payback for him killing you. And then controlling his mind.
Right. I know. I definitely love the Nemesis system. How whatever you do or whatever the orc does, affect especially, and this is just a me thing. The way I played the Shadow of War Mortar series, I played a more passive role where I would just infiltrate orcs and have them fight each other. And the fact that they would be like, "You killed my blood brother. I will have your." It's just so cute in its own little violent way.
It's kind of nice that they actually what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of nice they actually have this sort of system where they remember what you're doing. It's kind of like Sabrina's little... I know I complain about realistic, but it just feels so good.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
yeah.
I think we're going to cut it out for here. It's already past midnight. I'm starting to get a little tired, but I appreciate anybody who's watched this series, watched up to now, because it was fun. Thanks for joining me, Knight of Green. It was always a pleasure for you to join.
Anytime.
Hopefully next week, and I will try to do next week, we can actually have more guests on for tonight.
Sounds good.
So, anyway, pleasure. If you want to join my Discord down below, please feel free to join. There's also my Patreon if you want to help me support. You get some goodies. You get to join you get privileges on my server, and sure, follow my Twitter because I do post there a lot. I do post there every now and again. I'm so busy that I have little time to post. Anything you'd like to say?
Do you have my Flow page that just links to my social media?
I think I did post your social media, but if I didn't, I will make sure to repost them down there just in case.
That's fine. Thank you.
Same thing with Knight. Follow him on his Twitter. I also have a link to his YouTube channel, so follow that. He does excellent sword combat, which is always a pleasure to watch. And see you guys later. I'm not gonna see you guys later.
See ya.
See ya.